Welcome to the Convict Podcast, folks. I'm your host, Moliere Dimash, and I wanted to revisit a case that we may have mentioned in passing regarding an inmate death on the live show. It's set now to where you can only catch the live show if you're subscribed to the channel. And I came to the conclusion that talking about a mysterious death, even if in depth in the live broadcast, does a disservice to the decedent because it's the live broadcasts are only available for the subscribers. And I felt like the inmate that we spoke of, Rodney Lee, the circumstances surrounding his death teaches valuable lessons with regard to the mode of operations carried out by the Department of Corrections. So we're going to get back in. We're going to revisit that case and talk about some of the highlights and the takeaways that expose how the Department of Corrections are working tirelessly to cover up these mysterious deaths. So Mr. Lee was reported as one of the deaths that occurred at RMC, which is Lake Butler. But the truth of the matter is the source of his injuries came from Suwannee Correctional Institution. So it's crazy because the reporting officer is Sergeant April Guyon of Stark. And she works in the infirmary at RMC, and she initially reported Mr. Rodney Lee's death as a natural death. And it's scary to believe that that was almost acceptable had the case not been revisited. She reported it as a natural death. And when they looked back into this case, they found that on 3 occasions, there were incident reports from Suwannee Correctional Institution that indicated that he fell to the ground. Now, in all of my prison experience, and I'm sure most of you guys, especially those who have been to prison, have never seen a slip and fall, just a regular old fall to the ground with no further details, no indication of what was injured or how did he bump his head. Nothing. There are 3 incident reports from Suwannee Correctional Institution indicating that this man just mysteriously fell to the floor and was admitted into the infirmary on 3 occasions, and 2 of the occasions were 2 days apart from each other. So he allegedly, how many times has a slip and fall resulted in an incident report, let alone a trip to the infirmary? Okay, I it's just like the blatantness of it just sticks out to me, because we know for a fact that medical attention is one of it's a sham in the Florida Department of Corrections. Remember the case, and especially at Suwannee Correctional Institution. You guys remember the case of that inmate Christopher Sanders, who attested to, in a lawsuit, attested to the fact that he provided sick call forms to medical staff at Suwannee Correctional Institution, and they ripped them up. Okay, that's how much energy they spend towards tending to inmate medical problems, when you can hand them the form telling them and what do you call it? All types of abrasions from fist fights, and that still does not warrant sending them to medical, depending on who's working in the dorm. So I just find it mysterious that on 3 occasions he fell to the ground, and they cared so much about a slip and fall, they admitted him to the infirmary. I'm not buying it. So the real question is, how serious were his injuries from a slip and fall to where he had to be admitted to the infirmary 3 times and then transferred to the prison hospital? Okay, Lake Butler inmates are not transferred to Lake Butler unless there's a life-threatening condition, because you have to remember that's where inmates go to die when they have terminal illnesses. Okay, that's where inmates go to have surgery done. That's the only prison in that region, and one of the only prisons in the state of Florida that actually have medical officials in the capacity of like doctors, like actual physicians. The mental health specialists and all these psych doctors that they talk about at these prisons are not even serving in the capacity of psychologists. They're mental health personnel, nothing more than that. They call them, their official title is mental health specialist. Same goes for the nurse. They're not nurses. Not a single. The highest ranking medical staff member is normally a registered nurse, and that's who they call the doctor. So I just wanted to spotlight that again, because this young man, or this man, was listed as a natural death initially from Lake Butler Correctional Institution, and then it was ruled to be an accident from Lake Butler. And to this day, on the mortality site, he's listed as a death at RMC, but he suffered on 3 separate occasions at Suwannee Correctional Institution. Staff members are alleging that he fell to the ground. Now, again, there was one subject officer involved in this report. Only one. So that means that demonstrates to me that the same officer mysteriously was the same witness every time this man fell to the ground. And what universe is that logical? I do not know. But if one officer on May 10th, May 12th, and on June 3rd, the same damn officer is witnessing the same inmate fall to the ground, I have reason to believe that there's a whole lot more to the story. And I suspect that there was a use of force. So I just wanted to shine the light on that again. Inmates being listed as dead at the wrong institutions. Some officer from Suwannee Correctional Institution, and they did not identify him. An officer at Suwannee Correctional Institution prepared 3 incident reports alleging that an inmate fell to the ground and was admitted to the infirmary each time. And he died as a result of those injuries he sustained when he hit the ground after they had transported his body to Lake Butler. So I just wanted to highlight that. I felt like mentioning it in the live show when we talk about so much and we have people calling in did a disservice to what was to be learned from those circumstances. And I just needed to touch on that one more time. So again, here they are, just like with inmate Antonio Galashaw, who died at Baker Correctional Institution, and they listed him during the use of force. They took him out of the dorm and they killed him before they could take him to confinement, and still listed him as a death at RMC when they transported his body to RMC while he was dead. And if that was the case here at Suwannee, and they transported this body while this man was already deceased at Suwannee, they waited an entire month to even report him as deceased. And I did my best to locate his relatives and find anything that I could trace to any of his living family. I could not find anything, and I could not discern what was the disposition of his body. And 9 times out of 10, when an inmate has no family, they cremate the inmate. It's a terrible thing to be alone in this world and stuck in a prison. But unfortunately, I believe that was the case. They swept this under the rug so swiftly. They didn't even analyze the incident reports to, at least establish a pattern. If you're looking for a crime, you can easily establish a pattern if it's the same damn officer writing all 3 reports spanning over the time frame of a month, and they're all saying the same generic statement: this inmate fell to the floor. Never seen a slip and fall result in a trip to the infirmary in all my time that I spent in prison. So very mysterious circumstances. I'm going to see if I can somehow identify the officer involved, and if there are any updates in this case, let me know. But I'm afraid that this man may not have had a family out here, and as a result, he was either buried at Boot Hill or they cremated him. So that's the in-depth analysis of the mysterious case of Rodney Lee. And I just felt like mentioning it in passing or period in a live broadcast did him a disservice. And in the event that we do discuss more mysterious deaths in the live shows, we're going to revisit them again to make sure that they get their just due.